So last time we talked about transcription, the process of transcription. Okay. So last time we talked about the process of transcription. We said that the transcription is actually the formation of mRNA, and it happens or it occurs in the nucleus. Okay, it is transcription. It occurs in the nucleus. So I gave you a task, guys, to go and research about the translation process, right? So what did you find based on translation process? What did you guys find based on translation process? Yes, Sam?
I found out that the translation process it happens in ribosomes and protein. It uses mRNA and it concludes with mRNA and tRNA.
Okay. That's one thing.
Protein.
It occurs at the ribosome. Translation occurs at the ribosomes. Who else found out something about translation? Who else found anything else about translation? Because Sam has already told us that it occurs at the ribosome. What else did you guys find? Yes, Mukobe?
I found that each tRNA carries a specific amino acid and it brings the required amino acid to the ribosome so that the amino acid can become attached by peptide bonds to form the required protein.
Awesome. That's wonderful. Yes, Trevor? Yes, Trevor?
Sir, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Sir, I found that when messenger RNA cell leaves the nucleus,
Yes.
I found out that when mRNA leaves the nucleus, it carries a codon that will be translated. And when I think it will be translated into proteins inside the ribosome.
Okay. Yes, Mukobe, the last one.
And also the anticodon of the tRNA has to match with the codon of the mRNA.
Okay, nice, awesome. All right, so you guys have got a good and brilliant versions of the translation process. Okay, so last time when we talked about transcription, we said that transcription is the formation of messenger RNA, and this messenger RNA, it is formed within the nucleus, inside the nucleus. So this diagram or these blue lines here, they are representing the nucleus. So this circular shape is the nucleus, and we form mRNA. This is your mRNA molecule. That is what we were able to form in the previous session. Now we are continuing from what? From the transcription process. We said, guys, that last time when the mRNA molecule is formed, for example, this mRNA molecule here, which is UCG AGU, it was formed. It actually moves out of the nucleus. So basically, after the transcription occurs or after formation of mRNA, that mRNA molecule will move out of the nucleus, and it will move through the what? What is this space known as?
Nucleopause.
Yes, so the mRNA, it actually exits or it comes out of the nucleus through the nuclear pores. Remember, the nuclear pores is more like just the holes at the nuclear membrane that allow substances to be able to move out or to get inside the nucleus. So you can see here, guys, that after we have created mRNA within the nucleus, that mRNA molecule, it will have to move out of the nucleus. And let's just say this mRNA molecule will have some nitrogenous bases as well. Let's say here we have got adenine, here we have got uracil, here we have got guanine, here we have got cytosine, here we have got uracil, here we have got adenine, here we have got cytosine, here we have got cytosine, here we have got thymine. Is this correct, guys? Is this a correct mRNA molecule?
No, sir.
What is wrong with this mRNA molecule?
The thymine.
The thymine, guys. Remember that we said that RNA does not have thymine. Instead, it has got what? it has got uracil. So we don't expect to find a T as a nitrogenous base on an mRNA molecule. So this is our messenger RNA molecule that has been formed inside the nucleus, and it now leaves through the nuclear pore. And now the thing is, when the mRNA leaves the nucleus, it carries codons to the ribosomes, where those codons will be now translated. Okay, so those codons are translated to be amino acids. Okay, so the codons, we say that they are translated to be amino acids. Okay, so when you're talking about a codon, remember guys, we say that it is defined as 3 consecutive nitrogenous bases that are found in mRNA. So a codon is simply 3 nitrogenous bases that are following each other, found on mRNA. For example, if we trace here, we can see that this is adenine, this is uracil, this is guanine. These are 3 nitrogenous bases and they are following each other, right? We say that they are collectively known as a codon. So this is one codon. This is one codon. And then if you keep on tracing, you just group them in 3s, okay? If we trace other nitrogenous bases like C, U, A, this is another codon. Can we all see that, guys?
Yes, sir.
Yes, so this one is another codon. This is another codon again. This is another codon, the second one. And then if you continue doing the same thing, guys, you can see that if we trace here, we can see that we have got cytosine, we have got uracil. These are 3 nitrogenous bases that are following each other. That is the whole idea. Nothing much difficult. It's just 3 nitrogenous bases that are following each other, found in an mRNA molecule. So this is another codon. So we're having 3 codons here. So this is the 3rd codon. So here in this mRNA molecule, we can say that we're having a total of 3 codons because we have got 3 groups of these nitrogenous bases. Do we still remember, guys, talking about that?
Yes, sir.
Is anyone confused so far? Okay, so the thing is, we say that this mRNA molecule, when it leaves the nucleus, it has to carry these codons and carry them to the ribosomes. Remember, guys, we say that the ribosome, it is the site for protein synthesis. So basically the ribosome, we say that it is the what? It is the site. Okay, let's just so it is the site for protein synthesis. So at the ribosome, this is where proteins are made. So this mRNA molecule, it will move and move and move towards the what? Towards the ribosome. Remember, guys, that the ribosome, it is found inside the cell. When we did the revision of a diagram of a cell, we say that we have got the nucleus here. Can you all see the nucleus, guys? This one with nuclear pods. This is our nucleus.
Yes.
We also have got the ribosomes. So the mRNA, it has to move. It has to move from the nucleus and go towards the what? The ribosomes. That is the whole idea. It's just that we are now zooming in. We are now zooming it in. So here is the mRNA. It has moved from the what? From the nucleus. Because it was here at the nucleus, right? It has moved from the nucleus and it went to the ribosomes. So we say that the mRNA leaves the nucleus and it carries these 3 codons towards the ribosomes. So this is its movement. So you can see that this is still our mRNA molecule, right? This is still mRNA, but now it has moved from the what? From the nucleus all the way until it has reached the what? The ribosomes. Do we all see that, guys?
Yes.
Okay, so let's just look at our nitrogenous bases so that we don't forget them. We had AUG, CUA, CCU. Please, guys, don't forget them. I want to write them on the next slide. It's AUG, CUA, CCU. Okay, so when this mRNA moves to the ribosome, it is still the same thing. This is AUG. What follows after AUG? You guys already forgot. We had AUG here. Then we've got CUA, then CCU. Okay, AUG, CUA, CCU. So do you guys see that here, the mRNA molecule, it had these 3 codons. This is the first codon, which is AUG, right? This is the second codon, which is CUA, and then this is the third codon, which is CCU. So the mRNA molecule, let's just rewind again. It was here where it was created in the nucleus, but it leaves the nucleus through the nuclear pore, and it goes towards the what? Towards the ribosome. So it carries those codons towards the ribosome. Do you guys get the sense of the mRNA moving from the nucleus to the ribosomes?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Alright. So when I introduced the topic of RNA, I told you of 3 types of RNA molecules. You still remember that, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
We say that we've got messenger RNA, right? We say
Yes.
that we have got ribosomal RNA. We have got ribosomal RNA, and we also have got transfer RNA. So we have got 3 types of RNA molecule. So we've got a messenger RNA, we've got a ribosomal RNA, we also have got a transfer RNA. So it's mRNA, rRNA, tRNA. So this one, let's just phase it out. The ribosomal RNA, it is the one that is making up the ribosome. So basically the RNA that we find inside the ribosome is known as ribosomal RNA. You don't have to know any diagram of it. But now, the tRNA molecule, I showed you guys how it looked like. You still remember that, right, guys?
Yes, sir.
Yes, if you don't remember, I can just go back to the lesson, the lesson that we had. Okay, let me just go back so that I don't talk of something that you guys will claim I didn't teach. Okay, so when we did this, we said that we have got 3 types of RNA, and I gave you 3 diagrams to show the 3 types of RNA: the messenger RNA, the transfer RNA, and the ribosomal RNA. So you can see that the messenger RNA, it is just a line that is having some nitrogenous bases. mRNA is simple to recognize. The ribosomal RNA, don't worry about it because it is the one that is making up the ribosomes. But the transfer RNA, do you see how it looks like? It looks like a T. That is the shape that they use. You still remember me guys telling you that, right?
Yeah.
And we say that the tRNA molecule, it always carries amino acids. So whenever you see a circular shape on top of a tRNA molecule, that must be an amino acid. Okay, so let's just go back to our protein synthesis slide. Okay, so here at this point, do you see guys that these shapes or these molecules here, these are the tRNA molecules? Do you guys see them here, these 3?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, so those are your tRNA molecules. That's how they look like. All right. So what I didn't mention last time is that the tRNA molecules have got also 3 nitrogenous bases as well. So you will find a nitrogenous base such as adenine, uracil, maybe we can say adenine, uracil, and cytosine. Here maybe you find something like a adenine, a cytosine, and guanine. Yes, Sam?
So, sir, in other words, you're trying to say tRNA is formed by each codon.
Okay. So now we haven't gotten to that. Okay, we'll just clarify that. But now let's just say each and every tRNA molecule, it has got 3 nitrogenous bases. Don't call it a codon, okay? Don't call it a codon yet. Don't call it a codon. Just call it a codon only when we are talking about the mRNA. That is why when I made this definition, we say that a codon is 3 consecutive nitrogenous bases found in mRNA. It is just 3 nitrogenous bases that are following each other that are found in in mRNA, specifically mRNA, messenger RNA. All right. So if you guys find 3 nitrogenous bases here in tRNA, these are 3 nitrogenous bases, right? This AUC, this ACG. These are 3 nitrogenous bases. Can we all see that? Are we all able to see that? Yes. So these are also nitrogenous bases, but you do not have a right to call them a codon because they are not found on what? On mRNA. When the 3 nitrogenous bases that are following each other, when they are found on the mRNA molecule, that's when you call them the codons. That's when you can say this is one codon, this is another codon, this is another codon. We're having 3 codons. But when it comes to another molecules, such as tRNA, you cannot say that they are codons.
Yes.
Yes. So since I'm telling you that you cannot say that they are codons, what do we actually call these 3 nitrogenous bases found on tRNA? We actually call them anticodons. Yes, so 3 nitrogenous bases that are found on tRNA is known as a what? As an anticodon. So when we're talking about an anticodon, it is just 3 nitrogenous bases that are following each other found on tRNA, on transfer RNA, because guys, we are saying that this molecule is a tRNA molecule, right? It's a transfer RNA. So the 3 nitrogenous bases that we find on the transfer RNA, there are only 3, guys. On transfer RNA, we don't have a strand. It's only 3 nitrogenous bases. All right. So they are known as the what? The transfer. They are known as the anticodon. So we say that each and every tRNA molecule, it has got some anticodons. Are we together?
Yes.
Is anyone confused so far, guys? I want us to get right with these terms. Anyone confused so far? Okay, it's fine. Let's just do a summary before we even do the process, right? I said when we are having mRNA, the one that is produced through the process of transcription, the one that we did last time, right? When we're having mRNA, that mRNA, it leaves the nucleus. The mRNA, it has got codons. What is a codon? A codon is simply 3 nitrogenous bases that are following each other. Just like here, AUG is just 3 nitrogenous bases following each other. That forms one codon. Here you can see that we have got CUA. This is another codon because here we're having what? We're having 3 nitrogenous bases that are following each other. That is the meaning of the term consecutive. When you say that these are 3 consecutive nitrogenous bases, it simply means that we're having 3 nitrogenous bases that are following each other. Then even if you look at the third one, this is CCU. On this mRNA molecule here, this is CCU. This is another codon. So we're having 3 codons in this particular mRNA molecule provided. So we say that each and every mRNA molecule, it carries codons, and it carries them where? Towards the ribosome. So basically, it moves from the nucleus towards the ribosome. And now I'm giving you another molecule known as the tRNA molecule, the transfer RNA molecule. The transfer RNA molecule, or tRNA, it also has 3 nitrogenous bases. It only has 3. It doesn't have any more, because you can see that this tRNA molecule, it has got only 3 nitrogenous bases according to the shape. Do we all see them, guys, in these nitrogenous bases?
Yes, sir.
Yes, guys, this is 3 nitrogenous bases following each other. This is 3 nitrogenous bases following each other. This is also 3 nitrogenous bases following each other. But when they are found on a tRNA, we don't call them codons, guys. Don't say that this is a codon. It is only a codon when we find it on an mRNA molecule. But when we find it on a tRNA molecule, we call them what? We call them anticodons. So this is one anticodon. This AUC, it is one anticodon. Are we together?
Yes.
Is anyone confused, guys? I repeat, I want you guys to grasp this basic information with precision. Is everyone understanding in the class?
Yes, we do.
Yes, sir.
All right, cool. All right. Now that we have got this basic, I want to ask you guys, what if I don't have mRNA and I don't have tRNA? What if I had only a DNA molecule inside the nucleus? And this DNA molecule, let's just say this is a DNA molecule and it has got A, T, C. And then this is ATC, and then this is G. Maybe let's just say this is G. This is G, A. Okay, ATC, G, A. Here, let's just write C. I don't know if you can see this properly. So this is in the nucleus. This is a strand of DNA. Guys, am I allowed to say that this CAT, these are 3 nitrogenous bases that are following each other? You can see that, right? This CAT, these are 3 nitrogenous bases that are following each other, isn't it?
Yes. Yes.
So this is known as a codon, right? Is it?
No, sir.
Why don't we say why do we say it's not a codon? Yes, Tahatso.
So, since it's in DNA, we can't call it a codon. Instead, it is a DNA-based triplet.
Yes. Okay. When we find these 3 nitrogenous bases in a DNA molecule or in a DNA strand, it is known as a DNA base triplet. That's what we said last time. It's a DNA base triplet. So guys, don't confuse these 3 terms, okay? 3 nitrogenous bases found on a DNA strand, it's a DNA base triplet. How do you see that this is a DNA strand? How do you see that this is DNA, guys? Why don't you say this is mRNA? Yes, Trevor.
We have the thymine.
Yes, of
Because
course.
it's thymine.
Yes, there's a thymine. So the fact that there's a thymine means that this is a part of a DNA molecule. It's a DNA strand. So when we're having 3 nitrogenous bases following each other on a DNA strand, it's a DNA-based triplet. But when you've got 3 nitrogenous bases following each other on an mRNA strand, it is known as a what? It is known as a codon. But now when we are having them in a tRNA molecule, these ones, the one that looks like T shapes, these are known as what? Anticodons. So guys, please make sure that you grasp those terms. They are very important, okay? What else did we say that we find on a tRNA molecule, guys? What else did we say we find on a tRNA molecule?
Amino acids.
Amino acids, yes. We say that the whole point of having tRNA is that the tRNA actually carries amino acids. So whenever you see these circular shapes on top of a tRNA molecule, these are your what? These are your amino acids. These are your amino acids. Even this one, this other tRNA molecule, the one with a maroon round there. This maroon round is our amino acid. So the tRNA molecule, it always carries amino acids on top of it. So this is another amino acid. Can you all see that?
Yes.
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 Guys, and I ask again, where are we finding those amino acids?
On tRNA, sir.
Okay, where is the tRNA getting the amino acids from?
So in the cytoplasm. Sir.
Yes, at the cytoplasm. Remember, guys, we said that the amino acids, these are the monomers of proteins, the building blocks of proteins, and they are found scattered in the cytoplasm. The cytoplasm, it is just this space here, this space that is filling the cell. Okay, so the fluid part of the cell, highlighted in yellow for my diagram. Here you can see we are always finding amino acids. So amino acids are found in the cytoplasm. So the transfer RNA actually takes the amino acids from the what? From the cytoplasm. Do we get the sense?
Yes, sir.
Okay, cool. So if we go back here where we were, these are just the basics. Once you know these, guys, it's the same thing as that you know the entire process of protein synthesis. Because what will happen next year, guys, we need to create proteins. And remember, guys, that a protein, it is made up of amino acids. So we need to have these amino acids to be joined to one another. can say these 3 amino acids, we need them to be joined to one another. Okay, so how do we join the amino acids to be able to form the required protein? What do we need? What joins them? Yes, Mukobe?
Peptide
We
bond.
need a
Yes, it's a peptide bond. It's a peptide bond. So the peptide bond, it is the one that joins the amino acids. But you can see, guys, that this is one amino acid, this is another one, this is another one. They are far away from each other. So, yes, Sam?
So, sir, peptide bond is able to break same as weak hydrogen bonds.
No. It's not easy to break a peptide bond. You would require heat, because proteins, they are not so easy to destroy than weak hydrogen bonds.
Okay.
Yes. For example, guys, the proteins that are found in your meat, I'm sure you guys eat meat because it has got proteins. If you overcook your meat, it means that you are heating the meat too much. Or you turn on the stove and you forgot to turn it off. You boil your meat, you boil it. That is when you start denaturing the proteins. When you have got a lot of heat, that is when you start breaking down those peptide bonds. But in actual fact, they are not so weak compared to the weak hydrogen bonds. Are we together?
yes, sir.
Okay. So now our Zoom meeting. Oh yes, Trevor.
Does the ribosomal RNA have nitrogenous bases?
Okay, the ribosomal RNA, it doesn't really. Okay, it has nitrogenous bases for its nature, yes, but we don't really talk about it. It is the one that is making up the ribosome itself. So as you are seeing the ribosome here as a round shape, it is made up of RNA actually. It is the one building the ribosome. Okay. So our Zoom meeting is gonna take a break. I want you guys to go and think about this. These amino acids, the blue one, the maroon one, and the black one, they are far away from one another. How do we get them to bond to be able to form one protein? Think about it. How do we get them to bond to be able to form one protein? We'll come back in 10 minutes.
Hey Lapo, I know that you've been enjoying this wonderful video and most likely you've been enjoying watching this handsome face in front of you, but sorry ladies, I'm taken. I just here to tell you that Educate is on the road to 100,000 subscribers by the end of 2025. So please click the subscribe button and click the notification bell so that you get notifications whenever I post new videos. I want you guys to pass. Okay, so if you make my dream true, I reach 100k subscribers, I will make your dreams come true. I will even get you to varsity. I will get you with 7 distinctions. Yes.
Before we went to the break, we were looking at the structure of the RNA, the mRNA, the tRNA. We looked at codons and anticodons. And my question was, since you want to form a protein, you want to bond these amino acids. You want to bond amino acids with a peptide bond. You want to connect them with the peptide bond to be able to form the required protein, right? I'm sure that's what you guys want to achieve in this case.
Yes.
Yes, this is what we are trying to achieve, guys. We're trying to connect these 3 amino acids. And then after we connect these 3 amino acids, then we can form the required protein. Okay, but now my question was, how will these 3 amino acids be joined to each other or be joined together? I'm talking about this blue one, this maroon one, and then this black amino acids, these 3 of them. How do we end up joining them together to give us the required protein? Who can try? Yes, Mkobe?
They're joined by peptide bonds.
But how do we get them to reach the ribosomes? I mean, you can see that here we have got this blue amino acids and we have got this maroon one and this black one. How do we end up connecting them? How do they end up getting closer to one another? Yes, Trevor?
So I think the tRNA needs to carry the amino acid into the ribosome so that the anticodon and the anticodon from the tRNA they will pair, and then another tRNA will also do the same, carrying also the amino acid at top, and then that's when maybe a peptide bond can be
Okay, that's one. That's one good way of putting it. And Bonolo says that the anticodon will bond with the codon. That's quite a good way of putting it as well. So the reason for us to have an anticodon, it is so that we can be able to match with the codon. How do I mean? Let's say, for example, I will write a codon here, guys. So the codon will be U A G. I'm telling you that this is one codon, right? So we are just saying that these are 3 nitrogenous bases that are found on mRNA. Actually, a codon is simply 3 nitrogenous bases found on mRNA. So if we were to bring a tRNA molecule, which anticodon would we require to match with this codon? You just need to match the nitrogenous bases. You guys know that a U matches with what? A matches with U, right? And we say that a G matches with C. You see that this is the complementary base pairs in RNA. Do you still remember this?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes. Okay, yes, Sam.
So, sir, if anti-codon they combine with condoms, is going to have any weak hydrogen bonds there?
Okay, so the bonds that you're gonna have, they are still weak hydrogen bonds, but these ones are more like temporary ones. Okay, yeah, they are not so permanent. It won't form a strand per se, but it is still weak hydrogen bonds.
Okay, sir.
Yes. Okay, so here we are having a codon which is UAG. Actually, a codon is just 3 nitrogenous bases following each other found on mRNA, guys. It's mRNA codon. That's why most of the times we don't just call them codons. We say it is known as an mRNA codon to specify that it is impossible to find a codon from any other place beside the what? The mRNA. Are we together?
Yes, sir.
Yes. So here we are having UAG. So we know that if we were to bring a tRNA with an anticodon, I'm sure a tRNA will come with this anticodon, or it will come with these 3 nitrogenous bases. For it to be able to match with this codon, what are we supposed to have? We are going to look here, we're having a U. So a U need to match with what? A U pairs with which a nitrogenous base?
With adenine.
A.
Adenine, right? So we'll require an adenine. And then an adenine pairs with what? With what nitrogenous base?
Uracil.
Uracil.
Why are we not using thymine, guys?
Because
we're dealing with.
Okay, one person at a time. You can raise your hands. Yes, Sam.
Repeat the question, sir.
I asked, why are we not pairing adenine with thymine? Why are we using uracil?
Because of, sir, here we are dealing with RNA.
Yes, because this anticodon that we are dealing with here, it is found on tRNA. RNA, guys, is an RNA molecule, so it must always have uracil, not thymine. So the moment you are going to put a T here, it's like you are matching with it, you are pairing with a DNA molecule. In this case, that's not the case. In this case, we have a codon on an mRNA. We want to match it with an anticodon on a tRNA. That is the whole aim, guys. We have got a codon on an mRNA. We want to match it with a what? With an anticodon on a tRNA. Let me repeat again. We have got what? We have got a codon. Okay, we have got a codon on an mRNA. This is a codon on an mRNA. We want to find its anticodon, or we want to match it with an anticodon from a tRNA. For it to match, guys, the bases must be complementary to one another. A must match with U, G must match with C. That is how it works with RNA. All right, so don't write thymine here because we are not trying to form DNA. We are trying to match an mRNA codon with an anticodon from the tRNA. Hey, can you guys get me though?
Yes, sir.
So this adenine has to pair with the uracil from the anticodon. And what about this guanine? It's going to pair with what?
Cytosine.
The cytosine. Yes. So this is the matching anticodon. So this is the matching, or this is the corresponding anticodon for this codon. So if I give you this codon, which is UAG, its anticodon, it must be AUC. This is its anticodon. Do you guys see that?
Yes, sir.
Yes. So UAG, its anticodon is AUC. So you just pair them, guys. You just pair them using this guide. Adenine pairs with uracil, guanine pairs with cytosine. Because we are dealing with a RNA here. So we have got an mRNA codon and a tRNA anticodon. Are we together?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Okay, let's just do a bit of practice on this, guys. I want to see if you guys are grasping the concept of codon and anticodon matching. Let me give you a... Okay, let's just look at this one that we have on our mRNA. On our mRNA, what is the first codon that you can see there? Give me the first codon that you can see in this mRNA molecule. What is it saying?
AUG.
Yes, Bonolo.
AUG.
So the first codon here is AUG. So this is the mRNA codon. This is the codon that is found from the mRNA. So for it to find an anticodon, it must be matching with what? What is going to be the anticodon? Let's do the matching. A pairs with what? Yes, Trevor?
It's fine, sir. Sorry.
Okay, so here in this case, A is going to pair with what? Yes, Yango?
U. With U.
Yes, so A will have to pair with U. So A will have to pair with the U on the tRNA, right? And then U will have to pair with what?
With A.
With A, guys. Yes, uracil pairs with adenine. And then guanine, G has to pair with what?
With
C.
With C, which is cytosine. So this is the corresponding tRNA anticodon. So do you guys get the sense now?
Yes, sir.
Yes. So you guys need to just match these two. Okay. So if you are having a codon on an mRNA such as AUG, it will only match with a tRNA that has got the anticodon UAC. I'm sure the anticodon, guys, you find it here, right, on the tRNA. Can you see it from the tRNA? This one, anticodon. Yes. So do you guys realize that here, this tRNA molecule, this one that is carrying the blue amino acid, do you see that, guys? Its anticodon, it is UAC. Do you see that?
Yes.
Yes. What about, okay, give me the second codon on the mRNA. I'm sure this is the first codon, right? Give me the second codon on the mRNA.
CUA.
CUA. So this is CUA. So this is the second codon that we find on the mRNA. So this is the mRNA codon, the blue one here, the one that I've highlighted in blue. All right. So this is CUA. So just do the matching on your own and tell me the final anticodon that it corresponds with. Yes, Mukolo.
GAU.
It's going to be GAU, isn't it? Yes, this is our tRNA anticodon. So these are the three nitrogenous bases that we must find on the tRNA molecule for them to correspond with this codon that we have on the mRNA. So do you see that, guys? In these three tRNA molecules that we have, this one which is 1, 2, and 3, which one corresponds to codon number 2?
Number 2.
Number 2, right? So you can see that here, this tRNA molecule, it is having the anticodon, which is what? Which is GAU. Do you guys see it? GAU.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes, and what was the question?
So you often answer Gania CUA, yeah, second codon from mRNA. Let's see which one it is.
Yes, Sesitolancho is GAU, right? That's the one that we found, Anish.
Yes.
Yes, it's GAU. And now my question was, where are we finding this tRNA anticodon in these tRNA molecules that I gave you guys? I'm sure we've got 3 tRNA molecules here. Where are we finding this GAU?
The second amino acid.
Yes, the second tRNA molecule, it is the one that is having this anticodon GAU. What about the third one? The third one that we have here, we're having what? We are having, what is the third codon that we're having, guys?
CCU.
CCU. So the third codon that we have on our mRNA, it is this green one. So the green codon, it is the third codon that we have is CCU. So I'm going to say CCU. So this is the codon number 3. This is my mRNA codon. It's a codon found on an mRNA molecule, of course. For it to be able to match with the tRNA anticodon, what must be the anticodon, guys?
The last tRNA carrying a black amino acid.
Okay. Just give me the anticodon. Now we are going to how to answer the question. I'm asking, what is the anticodon corresponding to the codon CCU? This one that is highlighted. Is what?
GGA.
It's GGA, guys, right? So CCU corresponds with GGA. How did we figure that out? The C, we know that it connects to the G, right? We know that cytosine connects to the guanine, and then uracil connects to the what? To adenine. So this is GGA. This means that this is our what? This is our anticodon that is corresponding to what? To this codon CCU. Do you guys get the sense of anticodon and codon? Yes. So that's the sequence, guys. You just use the simple rule of doing base pairing. You just pair the bases. So this is how the amino acids will be brought to the ribosome, because we need these amino acids to be here at the ribosome so that we can bond them using a peptide bond and form the required protein. We want to form this protein by connecting these 3 amino acids. So what will happen here? Now I'm asking you guys, since AUG, this codon AUG, it is matching with the UAC. I'm sure this is what we did, like codon number 1 is AUG, is matching with UAC. We can see that, right, guys, from the mRNA and the tRNA. Can you see that?
Yes.
And you can see that this blue one, CUA, this blue codon CUA, it is matching with GAU from the second tRNA molecule. Can you see that?
Yes.
And then we have got the codon CCU, the one highlighted in green. It is matching with the anticodon GGA, the one that we are finding on the tRNA molecule. This one, GGA, is matching with CCU. Do you see that?
Yes.
So what will happen now? The ones that are matching will move towards each other. So basically these tRNA molecules, guys, that we're having, they will do what? They will move towards the mRNA. So this tRNA will come to the what? To the mRNA that is matching with them. Okay, so the tRNA with the codon, or with the mRNA with the codon AUG will match with the tRNA molecule with the anticodon UAC, as we have seen here. And then the codon, which is going to be the second one here, which is CUA, it will match with what? With GAU. So it means that this tRNA molecule, it will come to the what? To its matching codon. So this anticodon GAU will match with CUA. So this means that this tRNA molecule, it will come towards its matching codon. Do you see that, guys?
Yes, sir.
Yes, and then this one, you can see that GGA here, this GGA on the tRNA, this tRNA anticodon, it is matching with this CCU, this mRNA codon. Do you see that?
Yes.
So this will also come towards the CCU. Do you see that, guys?
Yes.
Yeah, so the
Yes,
tRNA
yes.
molecule, so the tRNA molecules are the ones that come towards the mRNA. That is why you will find something like this. They are moving towards the mRNA. Do you see that, guys? The ones with matching, the ones with matching pairs. In this case, you can see that here we are having U matching with A. It's exactly the same thing. U matches with A matches with U, C matches with G. So they are corresponding. So this anticodon UAC, it is matching with the codon AUG. Do you still guys see what's happening here?
Yes, sir.
Yes, and then it continues the same way. This G and C are matching, A and U are matching, U and A are matching. The third one, G and C are matching, G and C are matching, A and U are matching. So do you see that now, guys? These tRNA molecules have come to their corresponding codons. These tRNA molecules that have got some anticodons, they have come to a corresponding codon. Do you see that, guys?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. And then what will happen next? There will be a peptide bond that will just develop between these amino acids. You don't need to know complex stuff about it. It's just that these amino acids, they are now closer to one another. They will now be joined by a peptide bond. So now we have our peptide bond. So this is our peptide bond. And once we have got a combination of a combination of amino acids, that is now a protein. So we are done with protein synthesis. We are done creating proteins. Do you guys get the sense?
Yes.
Yes.
Guys, is this process hard?
No, not at all.
Hey, yes, Sam.
So how do I put it, Sam? I would describe the protein synthesis, the translation process.
Okay, now we are going to the words that you're going to use. But I want to know, guys, do you understand how the process occurs in a more practical sense?
Yes.
Oh,
Sir,
Yes, sir.
sir,
Yes, Bonol.
can I ask, since now we have 3 amino acid, are we supposed to say peptide bond or the polypeptide bond?
So when I'm talking about the polypeptide, it is more like a combination of multiple amino acids. Saying a polypeptide chain is the same thing as saying a protein. Okay, it's now the whole combination. The whole combination is known as what? As a polypeptide chain. You can say it's a polypeptide chain, or you can say it's a protein, but desirable, just call it a protein. Because polypeptide, it simply means that we've got multiple peptide bonds that are connecting amino acids, resulting in a protein. So you can just treat these terms as one thing.
Okay, sir.
Yes. Yes, Ngoba, your hand was up.
No, I could say, I wanted to ask the Bunelo Latbuti.
You wanted to?
I wanted to ask, it was Bunelo was asking, Nese, say,
Yes.
was Bunelo asking the question about a polypeptide bond?
Yes, was asking us, do we call this a peptide bond or do we have to call it a polypeptide?
Yes, sir, that was the question I also heard.
Well, when we just say polypeptide bonds, simply means that we are now having a protein in simple terms, okay? Not really okay, when you go deep, of course, you can be able to say polypeptide is this and this and that. But in this sense, when you say a polypeptide chain or something that has to do with polypeptide, it simply means that we have got multiple peptide bonds connecting amino acids to form a what? To form a protein. Are we together?
Yes.
Yes. So now let's put it into wording. Let's use some words to be able to describe it, right? So the first point that you can talk about, what is the first thing that you write, guys, when you're explaining such a process?
A heading.
A heading,
Yes,
guys.
sir.
When they say describe the process of translation, the first thing that you write is translation. Don't just start explaining without writing the heading translation, because it is a compulsory mark. Sometimes they will give you this mark just for writing translation. Okay?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So which points do you use now? So each tRNA carries a specific amino acid. Is this confusing, guys? That tRNA, it has got amino acids on top.
No.
No, sir.
Now, when the anticodon on the tRNA matches with the codon on the mRNA, these are already 2 marks. The tRNA will bring the required amino acids to the ribosome. And these amino acids become attached by peptide bonds to form the required protein. Is it hard, the process?
No.
No, sir.
It's simple, guys. You just explain. The first thing you explain is that each and every tRNA, it has got amino acids. Okay? Or, okay, you can say from the cytoplasm here, just to solidify your statement. The tRNA brings the required amino acids from the cytoplasm, okay? See, this is from the cytoplasm, because remember that we said that the amino acids, they are found in the cytoplasm. Yeah, so when you explain this, guys, you just tell us, first of all, each tRNA, it has got a specific amino acid. And then when the anticodon on the tRNA molecule matches with the codon on the mRNA, this is what we have been doing, the matching thing, to say that here, this codon AUG matches with UAC. So when they match with one another, the tRNA molecule, it will come towards the mRNA. The tRNA molecule will bring the required amino acids. You can see that it's bringing it to the ribosome. Do you see that?
Yes.
Yes.
sir.
Yeah, so when the tRNA brings the required amino acid, now we will be able to attach these amino acids using a peptide bond, forming the required protein. Is this hard, guys?
No, sir.
Yes, Siyanqoba?
Se angakuzwa kahle man, i-protein ifomeka lama amino acid ifuna abonde abe ingaki, more than 2, then sekuba i-protein.
Well, most of the times, any polypeptide, we just consider it a protein for the grade 11 level, or for the grade 12 level. You just consider, once you've got 3 amino acids or more that are connected to one another, that's essentially a protein. They will never make they will never make a scenario whereby you have to talk about the monopeptide, the dipeptide, the tripeptide. No, that is a bit complex for the grade. So most of the times when you are doing protein synthesis, they do it in a simple way for you guys, whereby they just tell you that the connection of amino acids will give you a protein without being specific on how many. Usually they are not specific on how many.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but if I'm not mistaken, I think it's about 15. I'll check for you, but I think it's about 15 amino acids required to form what we call a protein. But they will never ask it in that way.
Okay.
Yeah, let's hope. Yeah, so we're done with protein synthesis, guys. Make sure that you rewind on transcription, the one that we did at first, and then you move to what? You move to translation, and the codons and the anticodons and how they act with one another and all of that. And then now the remaining thing is to do practices. Yes, Sam?
So, sir, if they say describe the process of protein synthesis, it can be how many marks?
They will likely not ask you to describe the process of protein synthesis all together. They will ask you in bits and portions, okay? It's either they ask you transcription or they ask you they ask you, yeah, it's either they ask you transcription or translation. But if they ask a combination, they will never do that for the present curriculum. But if they ask the combination, you just need to describe both the processes correctly.
Okay, sir.
Yes, Trevor.
So say even nakulama question lawo ukuthi kwamele sobhale ngama essay angekubonakala vele ukuthi basibuzise into so.
No essays. Essays were phased out before 2020.
Okay, sir.
Yeah, the last people who did essays in life sciences, they did them around 2020. Okay, so let's do a quick exercise. Now they say the diagram below shows a part of the process of protein synthesis. Okay, so we have got part of the process of protein synthesis here. Now look at this diagram carefully, guys, and be able to identify the organelles that are responsible for protein synthesis. Be able to identify the molecules that you have and tell me. Please look at this diagram, study the diagram carefully. I'm giving you time to look at the diagram, right?
Yes.
So, as you're looking from the diagram, yes, Yangoba?
I think this tRNA, the tRNA law, doesn't match with the mRNA, isn't it? Because the sign.
Why?
The sign.
Which sign?
The sign 1, 2, and 3 in the tRNA doesn't match with the sign of the mRNA lapa.
Yeah, they haven't paired. They haven't paired for real. Which one matches? That's what you have to find out. But we're still going there. We're still going there. Let's start at a level 1 here. What identify the molecule A? That is the first question that I'll give you. What is the molecule A?
Yes, DNA.
Yes, it's a DNA, right? So it's a DNA molecule. Give a reason for your answer.
It has 2 double-stranded.
Okay. It has what?
It is double-stranded. Yeah.
Yeah, double-stranded. What is the other reason that you can give that this is a DNA molecule?
Yes, is the presence of this hydrogen.
Yes, Sam.
It's a double helix shape.
Double helix, sir.
The double helix shape. You can see that this is a double helix shape, guys. This means it's a DNA. Yes, Trevor.
So there is a presence of weak hydrogen bonds.
Yeah, I think you can slightly see these lines. We'll assume these lines represent weak hydrogen bonds. Of course, they have to. What else can tell you that this is a DNA molecule? Or every visible evidence.
It is winded, sir.
It is?
Winded.
No, that's the same thing as saying it's a double helix, okay? The same thing as saying it's a double helix. But don't use the term winded. It is in its natural shape, which is a double helix. Guys, what is the other evidence that this is a DNA molecule? The easiest one of all.
So there is two strands.
We already say that, yeah.
Okay, so it is found in the nucleus.
Yeah, it is found in the nucleus, guys. You can see that this is a nucleus, guys. This is the diagram that we are using. I'm sure you guys get used to it. This is a nucleus. This is a nucleus. These lines here, they are the nuclear membrane. They are representing the outer part of the nucleus. So it is found in the nucleus. That is one of the evidences that this is DNA. Okay. Identify molecule B. What is molecule B? Yes,
mRNA. Yeah, mRNA.
mRNA, yes, it's messenger RNA. Does anyone not see that? Who doesn't see that is mRNA, guys? So that you can clear things out for him or her.
Oh, so you want the reason why it's mRNA?
Okay, if they were to tell you to give the reason, yes, give a reason. Why is it mRNA?
Because of RNA diagram, they already showed us that this strand is from the nucleus to ribosomes.
Yes, the arrows indicate that it is moving from the nucleus to the ribosome. Actually, this is protein synthesis as the statement proceeds. So you are allowed to say that this molecule has moved from the nucleus to the ribosome. You can see that, guys. This is the same molecule. This one and this one is the same thing, right?
Yes.
Yes, and it has moved. So the arrows are indicating that it has moved. Yes, Yangoba?
Say, if there was no errors and they say explain why you say it's mRNA, am I wrong to say it has more than it has codon?
Well,
It contains uracil.
yeah, every RNA contains uracil, whoever said that. Well, yeah, it has codons indeed. It has codons indeed. Yeah, that's one of the reasons, yeah. You can take that. Yes, Trevor?
Say it is also single-stranded, and there is a nitrogenous base uracil.
Okay, I will take the single-stranded. Uracil is found in all types of RNA, so that is not specific to mRNA alone. Yes, Moko?
What if I said that the mRNA attaches itself to the ribosome?
Yeah, that's one of the things. These are visible reasons, guys. When they say give two observable reasons or visible reasons, you look at the diagram. What can you see from the diagram, okay? Is there one more? Yes, Yangoba?
If I say it has more than 2 codons in a same strand.
Okay, it consists of codons. Yes, that's something that you can see. It has codons, or it consists of it is made up of codons. You can say that. Okay, so this is good, guys, because you guys can be able to have evidence. You can be able to see the evidence that this is mRNA, this is DNA. Okay, so we have answered 2.1.1. That is an mRNA molecule. Okay, process 2. What is process 2? Yes, Mukobe?
It's
Translation.
Translation. Give a reason for your answer.
Because there's the formation of protein.
Do you see any formation of protein from the diagram? I'm saying give because, the visible reason from the diagram.
Okay, because the mRNA attached itself to the ribosomal cell,
yes,
and there's an anticodon.
The process is taking place at the ribosome, so it must be translation. Yes, Sam?
I was going to see that, sir.
Say, what if I say the process consists of only mRNA and cRNA?
Well. Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, that's correct. That is correct indeed from the diagram, of course. Yeah, it's a bit solid though. It's a bit not so solid. Yes, Trevor?
So if I say the process 2, it is outside of the nucleus. Is it right or wrong?
No, not really. Yes, it is outside of the nucleus, but you don't answer in a negative way. You tell us where it is. You don't tell us where it is not. Okay?
So what if I say it contains tRNA?
It contains tRNA. Well, yeah, you can say that we've got, I think Sengoba mentioned that we've got tRNA and mRNA involved. So it must be translation. Yes, Sam?
So, sir, if I say this process, it happens outside the nucleus.
Well, it's not a solid. Okay, you are like answering in a negative way. Guys, if I say give a reason why this is RNA, you cannot tell me that it is because it is not double-stranded. You have to say that it is single-stranded. Don't tell us what something is not. Tell us what something is. For example, here, DNA, this is a DNA molecule because it is found in the nucleus. Okay, this is an mRNA molecule because it is attached to the ribosome. You cannot say it is an mRNA molecule because it is outside the nucleus. It's more like you must tell us where is it at. Don't tell us where it is not at. Do you get the sense? Don't answer in a negative way, actually.
Hey Lapo, I know that you've been enjoying this wonderful video and most likely you've been enjoying watching this handsome face in front of you, but sorry ladies, I'm taken. I just here to tell you that Educate is on the road to 100,000 subscribers by the end of 2025. So please click the subscribe button and click the notification bell so that you get notifications whenever I post new videos. I want you guys to pass. Okay, so if you make my dream true, I reach 100k subscribers, I will make your dreams come true. I will even get you to varsity. I will get you with 7 distinctions. Yes.
So we are still continuing, guys. I think we had already answered the next question, which was process 2, which is translation, and you guys gave good reasons. But before we went to the break, I told you guys never answer in a negative way. Never answer in a negative way. Okay, don't tell us what not to do. Tell us what to do. Kind of remind yourself on that quote, okay? Don't tell us what not to do. Tell us what to do. So don't tell us where translation does not happen. Tell us where translation happens. So never say that translation is not happening in the nucleus. No. You have to tell us that translation is happening at the ribosome. Tell us where something is happening, not where it is not happening. Let's not have a not in our answer. Are we clear on that, guys?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes. All right. So what about monomer D, which was identify monomer D, number C. Monomer D. The monomer D. Yes, Mukoba? I cannot hear you properly.
Amino acid.
Yes, it's an amino acid, guys. Do you see that that's an amino acid?
Yes.
Yes, guys. If we zoom in a bit here, you can see that this is a C. What is C? What is the molecule C representing?
RNA.
Yes, it's a tRNA molecule. So the shape tells you about it. It's a tRNA molecule. So molecule C is a tRNA molecule. So it means that this circular shape that is found below a molecule C in this diagram, which is pointed as monomer D, it has to be an amino acid. Because remember, guys, that the tRNA molecule, it carries this round shape amino acid. Do we get the sense?
Yes, sir.
All right.
Yes.
Yeah, so this is monomer D, which is an amino acid. Give a reason for your answer. Why is it an amino acid? How would you give a reason then? Why is it an amino acid? Yes, Mukoba?
I would say the amino acid is carried by tRNA.
Yes, because it is carried by tRNA, it must be the amino acid. That's one observable reason there. Yes, Trevor, do you see any other reason?
So I also wanted to say, the tRNA is in the amino acid is in contact with the tRNA, and then the tRNA, it carries amino acid. So monomer D is an amino acid.
Good way of answering. That's a good way of answering. It's more like a mathematical person. So monomer D is an amino acid. Now 2.1.2, give the anticodon nitrogen base sequence of codon X. So we are now looking for the anticodon that is corresponding to codon X. Yes, Mukoba?
It's AGU.
Okay, so let's look at codon X. So codon X, it is given by what? By UCA. Do you see, guys? This is codon X.
Yes.
I'm sure this is an mRNA molecule. This is X, this is Y, and then this is another one. It must be Z. So out of these 3 highlighted codons, yes, Sam?
So, sir, if ngibhale ngamagama ephelele,
And say what?
if I written it by the full words instead of abbreviations.
What would you have written? I want to hear like exactly what you would have written. Kanya.
Okay. Uracil, and I say comma. After uracil, I say cytosine, comma, and adenine.
No. Use symbols. Don't write the full names, okay? Use symbols. UCA, AU, just exactly as it is in this diagram.
Okay, sir.
So do you guys see that here we're having UCA? this is a codon here. If we zoom in on our mRNA molecule that is here at the ribosome, so the codon X, it is UCA. You just need to do the base pairing that we have been doing to say that U has to match with what? I'm sure we are looking for, I'm sure this is an mRNA codon. So this is our mRNA codon. And then we are looking for a tRNA anticodon, because the question says find the anticodon that is corresponding to this. So this is from mRNA to tRNA. U has to match with A. C has to match with G, right? And then A has to match with T. Beautiful, right?
No, sir. Not
What's
T, it's
wrong?
U.
Why not T?
Because T, we only found T in DNA nitrogenous bases. So now here we are dealing with RNA nitrogenous base.
Exactly, guys. I want to emphasize, guys, this. Whenever you are moving from one RNA molecule to another one, RNA does not have thymine, so don't put a T here. It must be AGU. Okay, it must be AGU. So this AGU is the corresponding anticodon for codon X. All right, you can do the same for codon Y and for codon Z, the other one. But without complicating things, name and describe process number 1. Yes, Sam?
I said before we go to 2.1.3. So should I write it like this or only codon X?
Should you write it like?
All the thing you did right there for codon X, or should I just say UCA?
No, I'm sure the answer here, we were looking for the anticodon, right? Because they said we must give the anticodon corresponding to codon X. So our codon X was UCA. So the anticodon corresponding to it is AGU. So the answer that you're going to write is AGU. Just AGU, they're going to give you a mark.
Oh, okay, so then, okay, let me give you 2 points for 2.1.3.
Okay, now 2.1.3. Name and describe process 1. Let's start, Sam. You said you want to give us 2 points, yes?
Okay, firstly, sir, you'll just say the process 1 is transcription, sir.
Yes, guys. Before you start describing something, tell us what are you describing. In this case, they say process 1 and identifying that process 1 is transcription. If I give you a short question, Sam, why do you say that process 1 is transcription?
Okay, because of, sir, it happens inside a nucleus.
Yes, it happens inside the nucleus, guys. What is the other reason that you would say that this is transcription? The visible reason from the diagram. Any other person? Yeah, let's hear Trevor.
Sir, there is an mRNA strand. There is an mRNA strand that is formed inside the nucleus, and it is living.
Yes, wonderful, guys. You are talking about something that you can see, guys. It shows that you guys are learning to understand now, because it is transcription, because you can see that DNA is being used to form mRNA. So whenever we are forming some mRNA, that is known as transcription, and it is evident from the diagram. Yes, Trevor?
No, sir, I wanted to answer 2.1.3.
Let's hear Sam's first 2 points, because Sam volunteered with 2 points.
Okay, first point, sir. The DNA molecule unwinds.
What is unwinding?
DNA molecule.
Okay, let's correct a bit. Does a DNA molecule unwind?
The DNA double helix
unwinds.
Yes, guys, let's correct the phrasing there. It's a DNA double helix. We are trying to emphasize that this double helix structure, this one that we are having, the natural shape of DNA unwinds. So you start with that. DNA double helix unwinds. Then the next point we'll hear it from Siangoba. The next point is from Siangoba.
I didn't want to say
I didn't want to say the next point there. I just want to ask a question. What's it? A DNA, if you say a DNA molecule unwind, isn't it that they know what's a DNA molecule is double helix and so on and so forth and so forth?
No, who knows? You are supposed to be the one that knows. That is why it's important for you to phrase it in such a way that you understand what the DNA molecule, when it unwinds, it is changing its shape from being a double helix to becoming just a two strands that are a bit separated in a way. Okay, so you must specify that you know is a double helix structure. If you just say DNA molecule, guys, this is still a DNA molecule. Look at this. A-T. This is C-G. This is T-A. Guys, isn't this a DNA molecule?
It is.
It is a DNA molecule. It is still double-stranded. It is still a DNA molecule. But is this a double helix?
No, sir.
No, it's not a
sir.
double helix. So what is unwinding? It is the double helix that unwinds. Remember, the double helix, it looks like it's an S shape. It is twisted in this way. It is twisted. This is the double helix. When it unwinds, it simply means that it is untying itself. So if you just say DNA molecule unwinds, it will be like even this normal, let's just say even this DNA molecule can unwind. No, this one is already untied. So you must be specific. DNA double helix. All right.
Right.
Yes, Trevor.
Sir, can I continue?
Yes.
Okay, so the transcription at the DNA double helix unwind. So the next step is the weak hydrogen bond break to form two separate strands.
Yes, we can say
one strand serves as a template.
Point per point. The weak hydrogen bonds break. Okay, weak hydrogen bonds break to form separate strand.
To form two separate strands.
Yes. So the marker.
One strand serves as a template.
All right, to form two separate strands. So it depends on the marker and the memorandum, right? So some of the markers will give you 2 marks for saying weak hydrogen bond break to form two separate strands. They can give you possibly 2 marks from that, depending on the marker. Now, I want to hear from someone else, Uti. What else? How else can you phrase point number 2? Yes, Mugobe?
What if I said a first point, weak hydrogen bonds break, and then step number 3, I said then the two strands separate.
Well, I okay, that's still the same thing. That's still the same thing as what we wrote here. I'm asking you, so I'm asking, what is the other way of rephrasing point number 2?
So I'm asking if I wrote it as 2 points, this one sentence.
It is still correct. Remember, guys, life sciences doesn't really care about your structure. You can, but don't use paragraphs, guys. Don't write in paragraphs. So use points, but you are the one that determines how the points are structured. But the marker will look for certain keywords and will give you a mark based on those keywords. Still correct. Yes. So my question, Sam. How else can we rephrase this question, this statement number 2? The weak hydrogen bonds break to form two separate strands.
Okay, so we can just say the weak hydrogen bond unzips to form two separate strands.
Okay, we can say that the double-stranded DNA unzips. The double-stranded DNA molecule unzips. That's where you are allowed to say DNA molecule. So it is the same thing as saying weak hydrogen bonds are breaking. So it's more like these are breaking and breaking and breaking. And when these weak hydrogen bonds break, it's the same thing as saying we're having a zip that is being unzipped. Okay, forming two separate strands. Do you kind of see the idea?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes, Yangoba.
So what if I say the DNA molecule will
Okay, what if I say the DNA molecule will break to form two templates?
Okay, you don't say the DNA molecule breaks. The DNA molecule does not break. Okay, it is the weak hydrogen bonds that break, not the DNA molecule.
Oh, okay.
All right. So you guys will continue with the process. I know the lesson is very fun and you guys are enjoying, but you will continue with the process until you reach the end. I think we've already overstayed our session already. So go ahead, guys, and prepare for physics, the ones that are coming for physics. But the ones that are coming for our next life sciences homework, I will give you homeworks on protein synthesis. These are the homeworks. Okay. Number 1 is this one. So 2.1, it is homework. 2.1, this other one, it is another homework. So it's these two homeworks. Okay. This 2.1 and this 2.1. Are we clear?
Yes, sir.
Who wants to pray for us? Yes, Nova.
Say, I will pray in my mother's tongue, ne?
Yes.
Okay. Ngavela mithi song.
Yeah.
Nkulunkulu wami mdala wezulu nomhlaba ngibiza wona namandla somandla sonini nanini mdala wezulu nomhlaba. Ngizipho silondoloze somandla silondoloze nezingqondo tethu ukuthi sikwazi lesi sikubambe sikukhumbule nathi exam Nkulunkulu wethu usigcineni ithutha yethu ngoba sihamba kahle ngephesi le-right bese phakathi amen.
Amen. How? Siyabonga.
Amen.
Amen.